Hey guys, it's Bina, and in today's video I want to talk about the Merchants Guild and how to get rich. What was my experience with the Merchants Guild? How can you make some money? What timeline should you be farming in the end of time? Should you be farming all of the outcasts? What should you be farming, right? So we're gonna go over all of these things. First of all, popular builds are going to be expensive because there's going to be a high demand, and players blasting and getting those ranks the first are going to be able to buy these items, right? So one rank that really strikes, enables trading way more than anything other is going to be you can buy exalted items or directly from other players. Rank 7 is going to be very significant, and then rank 8 as well, and 6. So unique weapons with LP, and then any unique with LP. So LP uniques right now are cheaper than non-LP unique for some reason. The reason is there's a very high demand for the no LP uniques because nobody's at these ranks yet. Or when I say nobody's, like the vast majority of players are not at these ranks, and then the majority of players need those items anyways. So there's a very high demand for those, and there's a very little demand for 1 LP uniques, for example. Even though those are technically better, right? Understandably, the high-end players won't really care about the 1 LP Frostbite Shackles, for example, but they will want at least 2 LP on those, right? So 1 LP right now, Frostbite Shackles, you can buy one for 90k. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is actually more expensive than it was yesterday, actually. But if you go for 0 LP, if you go for 0 LP, as I said, well, you're now at 200k. So 0 LP uniques are actually more expensive than 1 LP. And then when you go to 2 LP, now that's when the market starts to spike up, right? Because these are going to be the most valuable ones for people who want to slam Exalted into them. They won't want to slam a good Exalted into a 1 LP Frostbite Shackle when they could invest a little bit more and have like double the stats and double the chance to get the stats that they want as well. So that is the first problem with the Bazaar is I think the ranks need to be changed in some way. What I think would be really nice is how COF does it, where the ranks give you extra chance to drop loot, and then COF has the prophecies, and then the Bazaar has the market. So whether you want to like have even more loot with the prophecies, or you want to trade your loot on the market for gold, that could like, people need to be able to buy and sell whatever they want, whenever they want. I don't think a system with ranks and reward like this is particularly great for a market like this. Although this is the first iteration and EHG has been very open to feedback, this game was not even supposed to have trade in the first place, and due to high feedback they changed it and they introduced this faction system, which I think the idea is absolutely amazing, but the way it is implemented right now as of cycle 1 needs some work, right? It needs some love, but they will learn from their mistakes, and I have total trust that they will be able to make something really great with it. So now that being said, how to make gold in last Epoch? Well, you must sell things that are popular. So what are those? There's going to be exalted items which have stats that are desirable to be crafted on LP uniques. So anything tier 7 right now, a tier 7 sword with minion bow damage for the explosive ballista build is going to be extremely valuable, and those can sell for very high amounts. And don't be afraid, even if you see something on the market that is, for example, let's go look at swords right now, right? Let's go look at swords with bow, minion bow damage. Let's go look at tier 7 swords for this. So the cheapest one right now is 1.8 million, okay? So it's not that bad. But you see there's a big freaking jump between the lowest one and the highest one. Obviously, this will depend on what other stats that you have on the weapon, but something that people ignore or something that people maybe don't have the knowledge for yet is that some of these stats can be sealed and they can be easily changed so long as you have forging potential. So the forging potential has actually very high value on the market. If your sword is like has one good tier 7 stats and low other stats, it is easily sealable, and someone will be able to gamble on this sword, for example, to try to seal the spell damage and craft something that is good for him on this sword, for example. So, forging potential is important on your weapon. Having the good tier 7 exalted, even some tier 6s which are in very high demand. Anything dexterity right now sells like hot cakes, guys. Anything dexterity minus throwing attack mana cost, these things sells like crazy. So be aware of the builds that are popular at the moment. So builds that are popular will be very, very valuable. Okay, now that being said, when you start the league, what do you do at first, right? So one thing to note is that you want to push a certain timeline, right? If you get to empowered, you want to get to a certain timeline. You want to know which timeline you want to farm. So certain timelines has very popular items, and the boss drops from certain timelines are going to be pretty valuable, since these are some items that a lot of players will want and not a lot of players are there yet. So there's going to be very high demand for them because they cannot be randomly dropped and they have to be target farmed. So which one are those? Well, all of the timelines have some, right? But some timelines are easier than others, and some timelines have more items than others to be able to farm. Reign of Dragon has Twisted Heart of Eucharos. Twisted Heart of Eucharos is a pretty popular item, has always been, even though it's been nerfed in this patch. If you go for Twisted Heart, for example, this is the item that you will be farming in the Reign of Dragon timeline, and this one will sell quite well because it is very popular. Other than this one, there is the Stolen Lands timeline, which this one has 2 items. It has the Wings of Argentus body armor, and it also has the Throne of Ambition. I do not have one here, but there is an idol that is called the Throne of Ambition. It's a unique idol. This one is used in many builds, and it is excellent against boss fights, especially since it gives you a big more multiplier for your damage, and this is going to be very popular. At first, I sold maybe 15 of those for like 500k each. So at the very start of a league, things like guaranteed boss drops are going to be popular. Anything low life is in blood, frost, and death. So the frostbite shackles, the last steps of the living. It also has body armor, guaranteed rewards, unique rewards inside of echoes. So blood, frost, and death is the one you want to farm if you want to sell some low life stuff. Stolen Lands is the one you want to farm if you want to sell the Wings of Argentus and the Throne of Ambition. Fall of the Outcast, although I would not really recommend this one, but this one can have the currently, because of this node in the passive from the Falconer, which gives you critical strike multiplier from crit avoidance, the Woven Flesh, which gives you 100% crit avoidance, and it can be dropped with 2 or 3 LP quite easily. People are going for this one. Ending the Storm has the Stormcarved Testament. Stormcarved Testament, which is a relic which is used in a couple of Swarmblade builds and some other builds as well, has really nice stats, and if you can get it with LP, it's even better. But the thing is, you're farming these things and you're fighting some with LP, which right now don't have value, but you can sell all of the bad ones, like a bad quote unquote, because they give you a lot of gold, because there's such a high demand for these items, right? So Reign of Dragon, Twisted Heart of Eucharos. So those would be my personal choices: Stolen Lands, Blood, Frost, and Death, or Reign of Dragons. Those would be my 3 timelines that I would personally farm. Bosses are easy in all 3 of these as well, so you can push the corruption quite high. Keep in mind, your boss drops drop rate increases with the amount of corruption that you have, because it increases the item rarity that you get, right? So this is going to affect the boss drops, and this is very important to note, because you want to farm as high corruption as possible while still being able to farm the timeline quite easily. But these are going to be my personal choices. So if you want to make some gold early, go farm a specific timeline and keep at it. The higher you are in corruption, the more drops you'll get. So the more odds when you're dropping these items on these bosses, that you'll be able to get those guaranteed rewards just by farming this timeline, on top of all the other items that you actually find while moving through these echoes. So another thing to note is, I have in my filter here all of the good idols for all of the different builds with the 2 good stats. Make sure you have a really good loot filter, and then you can actually find the good items without having to look through thousands of items on the ground. Just have them highlighted for you, and these are going to be very valuable. Another thing I want to talk about here is the in the idol slots here. anything that has vigorous, right? A vigorous with a 5% increased on it will be worth quite a bit, no matter what it is, especially if the second stat is a very high resistance stat or a very high life stat as well. So anything that is perfect, no matter what it is, someone will find a use for it and someone will buy it. So don't sell these things for example, for 5k. Arguably, increased fire damage and increased minion fire damage might not be that popular, but then again, I could still see a use for this, and it has a 5% health roll. This should sell for a bit more than 5k. So keep track of those. If you want to use my filter, these are all the idols for the Maxwell builds that are updated for having 2 stats on every single item. I am thinking of making a filter specifically for MG and updating the master filter template, but I will think about this because that would require a lot of a lot of adjustments over the course of a cycle. So I might not want to do this, but we'll see. That is pretty much what I wanted to talk about, guys. MG, keep track of the popular builds, keep your loot filter updated, and select a good timeline to farm. Some of the most profitable, I think, are Stolen Lands, Blood, Frost, and Death, and Reign of Dragons. Keep track of swords, keep track of bows, keep track, make sure that your loot filter is updated for the popular builds at the moment. So that is what I wanted to say today, guys. I hope you all have a nice day, and I'll see you guys all in the next video.